Hello everyone, this is Daniel Crawford here, and this is kind of an experimental episode of this show, Bell to Bell. Now, I chose to not use my regular camera for this episode, and I might do this going forward. I'm just trying to reduce how much I use that camera, only because it was kind of expensive, and I want to extend its life. So, also, this is just faster than going through the whole process of trying to set that camera up, trying to upload the file onto the computer. This way it's directly on the computer anyway, so I just have to convert it to the proper file so I can render it to post it on YouTube. Anyways, with that, let's just get going here. This is an episode I'm recording in the early morning hours of January 18th, 2021. And me recording it at this hour will allow me to post it quickly, a lot faster than I usually do. So, alright, let's get going. The top 5 matches for the week, which was from January 10th through January 16th. Quite a good week in wrestling, if I may say so myself. So, top 5 matches. And there were a lot of contenders. I want to give an honorable mention to some matches at the end of this. Some matches that I wanted to add into the top 5, but I thought others were better. But I'll give an honorable mention to those here shortly. Alright, so once again, in no particular order, we have Candice LeRae and Shotzi Blackheart. They had a really good match on NXT this past week. Definitely enjoyed it. LeRae, of course, won, but that was after a distraction, which allowed her to win. And Shotzi Blackheart, this feud is going to keep going, and I'm happy as a result. After that, we saw but we also have in this Adam Cole and Roderick Strong taking on Breezango. This was part of the Dusty Classic, and I'll get more into that here in a second, but this was also another really good match. There's a lot of chaos during this segment. You saw Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch coming down and attacking. They're attacking Kyle O'Reilly, sort of extending his injury. I don't know if it's a real injury or not. I haven't really delved into it, but they were extending that injury with their attack, and they also targeted Finn Balor, who tried to come down to the aid of those who were being attacked. And even in the midst of all that chaos, I thought it was going to cost Cole and Strong the match, but no. Adam Cole and Roderick Strong actually won the match, so that was pretty cool. Either way, a great match. A lot of really good matches on NXT. It turned, well, I'll get more into that in a second. I don't want to be a spoiler here. Darby Allin and Brian Cage was another one of my top 5 matches for the week. AEW had some pretty strong matches, I'm not going to lie. It wasn't like the best show, and of course that was kind of a spoiler alert, but it was definitely, this match was definitely a good match. It was the main event, and it was for the TNT title, so really good job for both of them, and it kept me engaged. U.S. Championship match between Bobby Lashley, the champion, and Matt Riddle. This was on Raw, and this was a really good match. And I thought it was well done, and it was, I don't know, I liked it a lot. I really like what they're doing with Riddle, and hopefully they keep taking him to the next level. So Pac and Kingston was another one of my top 5. A great way to start off AEW. Definitely got my attention. Although AEW is not my favorite show of the week, any week, it's still fun to watch, and I still enjoy it. So anyone who hasn't watched it before should definitely give it a chance, because it's worth watching. Also, the honorable mentions, I wanted to bring up the tag team match with Keith Lee and Sheamus against Miz and Morrison. They call themselves the A-listers, but they really never officially called them that while they're talking about their matches on the card. But this was another one of my favorite matches. It wasn't in the top 5, but I wanted to mention it. It was fun to watch. Also, 2 more matches here. Shinsuke Nakamura taking on Jey Uso was really fun. I really enjoyed that. It was it was just great to see what these guys can bring to the table. And both Nakamura and Uso looked great in it. And I love how they've turned Nakamura face again, and they even brought back his old theme song. That was really awesome. So this was just part of the awesome episode that was SmackDown. But Cesaro and Daniel Bryan almost made it into the top 5. I was so tempted to, but I didn't want to knock any of the other matches out. But this match was definitely one of the best matches of the week. And if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. Best backstage of the week. I kind of had a tie for this, and they were both on NXT. Scarlett and Karrion Kross, with their continued teasing of what they're going to do next. I just love the whole TikTok thing. Everything with Karrion Kross and Scarlett has just been awesome. Tommaso Ciampa and Thatcher also love their whole but their interview that they had in the back, and that was a lot of fun with Wade Barrett conducting the interview. Best show of the week. So here are my ratings for the week. Remember, I have a scale up to 10, and I also kind of apply that to backstage segments. I give backstage segments a rate of 1, which is kind of a fraction of 10. I just basically make well. So as long as a backstage segment does everything it needs to do to advance the story, I'll give it a rate of 1, which of course I multiply by 10 to make it a 10 to make the ratings make sense. Anyways, so here are the ratings for each show. You have Raw at a 9.71, AEW at a 9.59, NXT at 9.9, and SmackDown at 9.84. I thought all the shows were good. This is probably one of the highest ratings I've given an AEW show as well. Although it came in 4th, it's getting better, I think, and it was a lot closer to Raw. Yes, I have given AEW a much higher rating in the past, but they're just progressively getting better. So I definitely try to show respect to that. Raw was also a lot of fun to watch. All 4 shows were great to watch. But NXT just stood tall in my view above the rest. As a matter of quality of show. Always remember that ratings do not necessarily communicate quality. And NXT I thought was definitely the best show of the week. However, SmackDown continues to show that it is the A show in its own right. So, that's why it's always in competition with NXT for the best show of the week for me. Best heel moment, I thought was Roman Reigns dictating to Paul Heyman, and he was showing Apollo Crews how it's done early in the show, and that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that, but this was a lot of fun. Plus him torturing Adam Pearce. Although, of course, we saw where that went later on in the show with Kevin Owens coming back. I really enjoyed this whole thing with... Excuse me. I hate yawning. Sorry. But I really enjoyed this whole story with with Pearce, Roman, and Kevin Owens. It was very enjoyable. The fire story of the week, speaking of that enjoyable story, was Roman, Pearce, and Kevin Owens returning. I love how they just tied it right back around to Kevin Owens coming back. He's now in apparently a last man standing match against Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble. I absolutely am looking forward to that, and I think it's going to be great. Royal Rumble looks like it's going to be a really good show. And I'll talk more about good shows for WWE coming up in the near future. Also, new star of the week, and literally a new star, not someone who's coming back or anything like that, but it was on NXT, and they debuted in the Classic, the Dusty Classic, and they actually won their match. It was MSK. I'm not very familiar with these guys, but they seemed really awesome. I loved their moveset. Definitely kept me engaged. Something I would have expected to see in AEW, but they went to NXT, and it's like the tag division in NXT, it's kind of underappreciated in a lot of ways. I know the main roster gets a lot of crap thrown at it because of how Vince books tag teams these days. Although he wasn't always bad at booking tag teams. We have to remember part of the reason why I love tag teams is because of what we saw tag team wise in the 90s. All the way from the early 90s all the way up through the beginning of the Attitude Era. Just really good tag teams at WWE. But NXT has a really good tag team division, and sometimes it even rivals AEW's. There's a lot of AEW tag teams that I'm not interested in. I'm only really interested in a handful. So either way, I don't know. It's a really good situation, especially with this new tag team. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. Best promo of the week. This was, at first it was kind of a hard decision, but then as I really thought about it, it only made sense to say the Orton and Bliss segment at the very end of Raw with the fireball. Bliss just showed up. Orton just kind of thrown out of his game here. And I don't know, I really enjoyed this. You saw Orton taunting Triple H earlier, and he was wanting Triple H to get into a fight with him. And that's what got interrupted. Like, Triple H got the sledgehammer out. He looked at the sledgehammer. The Fiend's, whole effect, happened. Shut off all the lights and everything. And then you look up, and the sledgehammer's on fire, which was pretty awesome. But then lights went out again. Bliss shows up and then shoots a fireball at Orton. Like, that whole thing was just awesome. Like, I really enjoy that storyline. Anything that has to do with the Fiend or Bray Wyatt in general, Alexa Bliss and Orton, like, this is like a perfect trio of people involved. And apparently Alexa Bliss is going to be on Raw this week, going up against Asuka. And I'm not sure if the women's title is on the line, but it would be kind of cool if it is. And I know, like, I love Asuka, but I think she needs something to happen to keep her interesting, keep her chasing, because that's what she needs again. She needs to be able to chase again. But anyways, really awesome stuff there. My favorite commentary moment of the week was, Wade Barrett is getting better at this with each week, and he increasingly has some of my favorite lines of the week. I'm surprised that Samoa Joe hasn't had any of my favorite lines here recently, because he used to be the one who produced all my favorite lines. And same thing with Corey Graves. Corey Graves and Samoa Joe still have some good liners here and there. Samoa Joe did have one. I can't remember what it was, but it was... I remember what it was. There was an injury that was shown to Samoa Joe on Raw. Can't remember who it was exactly, but when he got a look at the injury, and the guy, whoever it was, they left. He was like, "Oh yeah, it was quite a spectacle." Talking about like. So, anyways, that was one of my favorite moments. However, my absolute favorite commentary moment of the week, was when Wade Barrett said, and this was referring to the grizzled young veterans doing their promo, and he said, "My ears have started bleeding." Like, it's just the way he said it, and like how he how he inserted it into his commentary at that particular moment. It killed me. So I thought it was great. I love Wade Barrett, and I hope he keeps doing what he's doing. So interesting. This week in wrestling history, January 17th, 2000. So I'm recording this on January 18th, so obviously yesterday was January 17th. But in January 17th, 2000, really interesting moment happened in professional wrestling that absolutely secured the end of WCW. I mean, there was no way they could go back from this. And it was an episode of WCW Nitro that took place after Sold Out that year. Of course, by this point, I had stopped watching WCW completely. I stopped watching for about a year before this moment. But Nitro took place, and it was after Sold Out that year, and apparently they stripped everyone out of their championships and had everyone start all over again. So, and this was, they had this explanation apparently from what I was reading, where they explained it away that in losing the title, in losing the match to the world title, Sid, I think that's who it was, Sid had his foot underneath the ropes, which was true. However, the real reason was that Chris Benoit was the world champion. I believe he just won it at Sold Out. And they took the title off of him and stripped everyone, because I guess it was easier to strip everyone than to explain that Chris Benoit had quit WCW. So he quit en masse with three other superstars: Perry Saturn, Eddie Guerrero, and Dean Malenko, all of whom would jump from WCW to WWE by the end of January. So Royal Rumble 2000 was, I believe, within a week or two after this incident. And those four men showed up at the Royal Rumble. And, they became the Radicals, and we know the rest of history there with Benoit, Saturn, Guerrero, and Malenko all having showed up in WWE. Now, Malenko didn't have a great career in WWE, neither did Perry Saturn so much, but Guerrero and Benoit, that they really took off in WWE. So I know McMahon really had a soft spot in his heart for Guerrero. But anyways, like I said, the rest is history with that. So with that, I come to this conclusion. Please make sure you check out, obviously, this, and continue to watch these episodes. Check out my website, danielcrawford.org, as well as the podcast, sort of, I guess you could say, a cousin podcast, or whatever you want to call it, to this show, It is called Extra Extra, which it was originally an addendum to Wrestling Today, but I call it Wrestling Today Extra Extra. So with that, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and we will catch you next week.